Hello student, good morning. As we are discussing about the first chapter of the civics about the inequality, as we have discussed about the inequality, how the people are discriminated, as we have talked the example of the Om Prakash Valmiki, how he has been discriminated. After this one, what they have given here in the left side, you may see that is about Bhimrao Ambedkar, what he said. That thing has been given in the left side. So if you take the example and if you discuss about the topic, so what they have given, one of the main reason for this is that attitude have changed very slowly. Mean to say, even though persons are aware that discrimination is against the law, that they continue to treat people unequally on the basis of their caste, religion, disability, economic status, and because they are women. So here the reason has been given why the people are just change themselves slowly, and even they have given the examples why they were discriminated against of it. Okay, they were discriminated against of law. That is, they continue to treat the people unequally, not equally, on the basis of their caste, religion, disability, not able, and economic status, and because they are women. Okay, it is only when people begin to believe to be treated with dignity that present attitudes can change. Here it means to say why the laws have been implemented just because of it that the people were discriminated against, as they have given the example here, that is about it is only when people begin to believe no that has been given here that they have given here when people begin to believe that no one is inferior, no one is backward, okay, and that everyone person deserve to treat it with dignity. Okay, everyone wants to treat it with their dignity, with their respect, self-respect, and that person attitude can be changed. So by giving them some privileges, some rights, so they can be treated equality and their dignity must be treated equally compared to the other persons. Means as the other persons are treated equally, so they must be treated as well as equally. Okay. Then they have given here that establishing equality in a democratic society is a continuous struggle and one in which individuals as well as various communities in India contribute to, and you will read more about this in this book. Here that has been given establish to implement the equality, that is in a democratic society, is a continuous struggle. That is a struggle for the continuity to establish, that is the means one kind of the challenge for the democratic countries to establish the continuity, to establish the equality among the people, and in which the individual as well as various communities, not only about the individuals but also about the communities, they could get the equality, they can get the equality in our country. And you will read more about this in this book. In the next chapters we will read more about this one thing. Okay, then issues of equality in other democracies, they have given the example about the other democracies here. Other democracies mean to say in other countries. You are probably wondering whether India is the only democratic country in which there is a inequality and where the struggle for equality continues to exist. So here we might, obviously we all are just wondering about these all the things. So only this case is happening in our country or in other countries as well. So that has been given here. The truth is that in many democratic countries around the world, the issues of equality continues to be key issue around which communities struggle. So it is not only the example of our country. So in many of the democratic countries of the world, this issues of the equality has been continuous. Mean to say, the people raise their voice against that is against the inequality time to time. Mean to say, okay. For example, they have given here, that is, for example, in the United States of America, the African American whose ancestors were the slaves who were brought over from Africa continue to describe their lives today and largely unequal. Mean to say, whoever the Africans were there, they just brought in the American countries, mainly in the America, mainly as a slave. So they were also struggling, and they continues their struggle for getting the equality. They have given the example here. Then this, despite the fact that there was a movement in the late 1950s to push for equal rights for African American, and here they have given the example in during the 1950. So what happened? These African people, their ancestors, their forefathers, they brought as a slave. So they raised the voice against for inequality. Okay, they just demanded for the equality. So the same voice that they raised this one question. So in America, they have given the example. And after this one, what happened? Prior to this, African American were treated extremely unequally in the United States and declined equality through laws. Whatever the laws were made, so these African American, these African people, their natives, their ancestors, who those who belong from the Africa, so they were treated unequally. So they raised their voice against of this. For example, when traveling by bus, they either had to sit at the back of the bus or get up from their seat whenever a white person wished to sit. So what used to happen? These African people who used to reside in the America, so whenever they are traveling in a bus, whether they have to sit at the back of the seat, if any white people, mean to say any American citizen used to come in the bus, they have to stand up and they have to give the seat to that person. Okay. Then one of the example they have given, Rosa Parks, 1913-2005, was an African American woman. That lady, mainly her ancestors, her forefathers, they belong from the Africa. So this example has been given. That is they have given the example here. Tired from a long day at work, she refused to give up her seat on a bus to a white man on 1st December 1995. So what happened, when she was returning from work back to her home, so she got so much tired and she didn't want to give her seat to any white person, mean to say any American. So what happened after this one? Her refusal that day started a huge agitation against the unequal ways in African American were treated, and which came to be known as civil rights movement. So what happened when she raised this voice, when she refused this one thing? So it just turned into a agitation. Mean to say, it turned into a revolt. Means many of the natives whose this one mainly, whose ancestors, whose forefathers were belonged from the Africa, they raised their voice, and later on, what happened? It turned into the civil rights movement. The Civil Rights Act of 1964 prohibited discrimination on the basis of race, religion, or national origin. So what happened under this one? So this act came to be existence in 1964. It prohibited me to say, it just stopped, it just removed the discrimination on the basis of race, on the basis of color, on the basis of apartheid system, and as well as on the basis of religion or national origin. Okay. It also stated that all schools would be open to African American children, and that they would no longer have to attend separate schools especially set up for them. Mean to say, whatever the schools were there for the only for the Americans, now there wouldn't be any kind of the discrimination uh, in African American to attend the schools. Means if the African are attending any school, say they could that American also can attend these schools. Okay, that mean to say, means if anybody is getting to education, whether they are African, their natives who are African, and their natives are American, so they could get the education. Okay, then after this one they have given here, that is about, however, despite this, a majority of African American continued to be among the poorest in the countries, as they have given African Americans whose ancestors, forefathers belong from the Africa, they were very poor. Mean to say, among us the poor persons. Okay. After this one, what happened? That most African American children can only afford to attend government schools that have fewer facilities and poorly qualified teachers, and compared to white students who either go to the private schools or live in areas where the government schools are as highly that is rated as private schools. So they have given the example here. Before it, what used to happen? These African American people, students mainly, they had to attend only those schools who were very means in a very poor qualities. Poor qualities mean to say, as they have given in the example about the teachers, about the infrastructure, and other things, about other facilities. Okay, so as the American people, American students, either they used to attend the private schools or highly this one facilitated government schools. Okay, then after this example they have given the, that is about the article 15 of the Indian Constitution, which sort of things have been given to us, that has been explained here. Okay, that prohibition of discrimination on grounds of religion, race, caste, sex, or place of birth. So you can go for it. So these all the things has been prohibited in our country, removed in our country. Mean to say, on ground of the religion, race, caste, sex, or place of birth, you can't discriminate with anyone. These examples have been given downside. You may go for it. Okay. Then challenges of democracy. No country can be described as being completely democratic. So we can't describe that is completely this country will be a democratic country. Okay. There are always communities and individuals trying to expand the ideas of democracy and push for a greater recognition of equality on existing as well as new issues, as every democratic country tries to implement that equality among the societies, among the communities, among the individuals. Okay, so central to this, it is central to this is the struggle for the recognition of all persons as equal and for the dignity to be maintained. So it is just maintained, and it is just trying by the world governments in the different countries to establish the equality among all the citizens, among all the communities in the world. It means to say, in this book you will read about how these issues of equality affect various aspects of our daily life and daily lives in democratic India. As in this one chapter, in the next chapters, we will come to know how this equality, this matters in our lives and how it affects the lives of ours. Okay. Then after this one, they have given here that as you read these chapters, think about whether the equality of all persons and their being able to maintain their dignity is upheld. So in this book, as we will read the chapters, so we will have to think about the equality of all the persons, whether all the persons are getting equality or not, as well as we will just take the example of their dignity, whether their dignity is maintained or not. Okay, these all the things in the next upcoming chapters we will have a discussion over it. Okay, so this is about the all about the first chapters. So after this one they have given the question answers, so we will have a discussion later on.